Very similar. Yeah, very similar. I mean, it's built on running the football. Some play action stuff off of it, and boots and screens. They'll take some shots, but a lot of similar stuff. Again, based on the quarterback that they have, you see a ton of zone read, lots of different ways to get to it formationally, motions, swaps with the sniffer. I mean, so there's a lot of similarities.
When you're facing a quarterback that's sort of an agent of chaos like that, how do you balance wanting to make a play chaotic when you know that's where he thrives versus maybe making a play normal where he has to make a normal football play?
I like that, agent of chaos. That's pretty good. He creates a lot of chaos. That's for sure. Are you asking me from the Virginia? If I'm coaching him at Virginia, or are you asking me
from a defensive standpoint? Because ordinarily you want to make the play chaotic, but if he thrives in that,
he does.
How does it change what you have to
squeeze
do?
him? Like you have to really be disciplined in, not just staying on his upfield shoulder, but staying where he's going to be, because he's just quick enough to beat most people in space one-on-one. So you have to really do a good job of really over leveraging him, and you got to be great up front. You got to win inside, and because he'll find a lane on. You can't over rush him. You have to understand where he is and then squeeze it. But he's a problem. I mean, you just have to be very disciplined. You got to cover forever. Because I mean, if he gets outside the pocket, I mean, he can extend the play. I mean, you're 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7. I mean, he can hold the ball and extend, and that's a long time. Like I said, similar to the kid from Stanford, they got a little bit of option. You'll probably see some speed option and some of that stuff too. But I mean, the ball's in his hands every play, and he can throw the ball in their straight drop back. They want to stay on schedule. They want to really lean on the run game and the stuff that comes off of that. So you got to hold up. You got to win that first. I mean, you got to be able to eliminate any confidence in the run game and try to make them some sort of one-dimensional. That's your best chance. But if they can get the run game going, then he's a problem, because that's when he's at his best. With all the zone read stuff.
Coach, you mentioned staying up to date on Virginia and Coach Elliott. What are some of the conversations you've shared with him as continuing in that mentorship role?
I mean, we have lots of conversations and texts, and obviously get to spend some time with him at ACC meetings. I don't think he likes it, but I always go sit by him. And all the other coaches make fun of him because I go sit by him. But no, we've had a lot of great conversations. I mean, he's doing awesome. I mean, he's been through a lot. I mean, he's had to, his first year was just a nightmare, situation. But like I told him, I think that's why God took him there, because nobody more equipped than Tony to lead a group of young people and to help navigate some really dark times, for a lot of people in that university. And, he did a great job. And then last year, again, just a lot of growth. You're not necessarily getting all the results, but, I mean, you can just see that the kids, his impact and them buying in. And then this year, man, it's a good football team. I mean, they turned it over 4 times against Maryland. They win that game. I mean, you're not going to beat – you win a game with 4 turnovers, that's an anomaly. So, and then this past week, they had every opportunity to win that game, and just had a couple critical mistakes late in the game that cost them. But this is a good football team. Got 1 loss in the league, and they're fighting to get back and stay in contention. So we'll get everything they got. Not to mention, there's a lot of Clemson people on that staff. So it'll be a well-informed group coming in here to challenge us.
You mentioned Spiller and going to the Ring of Honor this weekend, the relationship that you've been able to build with him over the years. When you were the interim coach, he said if you came back as the head coach, he would return for a senior season. How much has the relationship that you've been able to build with CJ allowed you to build everything you have here?
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. When he left my office, I thought he was leaving. And he walked into a press conference and said, "I'm staying." I was as shocked as anybody else in the room because I thought he was leaving. And I was perfectly fine with that. But I just wanted him to do what he thought was best for himself. I mean, but CJ he's a one of a kind. He's just a remarkable human being, first of all. And even when as a young player, he was incredibly wise, way beyond his years. Had a great vision for what he wanted to do. He's the type of guy that's always written things down, and and then he goes and lives it out. He's relentless in his pursuit of excellence. He's relentless in his pursuit of his goals and the things he wants to achieve. And he's a really good football coach. Like, he is a really, really good football coach. He has done an awesome job with our backs. He really has. I mean, I'm really, really proud of him and how he's put the room together. He's had great impact, obviously, with Maffa. Man, you see young Jay Haynes coming on. I mean, obviously, he went and signed Easy and Jarvis as well. I mean, he's a great coach in the making. He cares about all the right things. But man, our relationship is, like a father and son. I mean, I love him like a son. I mean, he's special. He really is in every regard, and it's been awesome to just watch him, become a great father. His daughter's here now, which is just blows my mind that Shania's here, and he's a great husband. He's got a beautiful little boy now that I call Champ. I named him Champ. He calls him Cade, but I call him Champ. But anyway, he's just awesome. I mean, he is the epitome of the Clemson spirit. And, yeah, I mean, he was a guy that he walked away from a lot to come to Clemson, a lot. And then the same thing to stay at Clemson. And then, his when I got the job, literally, we all wanted him to come back, and we, knew he could be drafted and all that. But he I just remember, last thing I remember, he was in my office, had big tears in his eyes, and they got Tim Berets looking for him. Tim Berets in panic mode. Tim Berets standing out there going, he's got a room full of people, and we can't find Spiller, and then he's in my office, and he's in tears, and he's crying, and I just remember hugging him and telling him, I said, CJ, you just do whatever you think's best for you, and that's going to be what's best for everybody. And it's all good. I'm whatever you decide, man, I'm for you. And I just remember him wiping his tears away, and I'm like, I told Tim, I said, nah, he's leaving. And I mean, and Tim's just kind of walking by, and I just went to the back of the room. I just remember being in the back of the room, and when he said he was coming back, I couldn't believe it. And he goes in there and he gives this amazing talk and speech, and, it was just, it was unreal. He's just a special person, and what he's meant to Clemson, nobody epitomizes the spirit of Clemson than Spiller. And, man, if there's anybody who deserves to be in that Ring of Honor, it's this guy right here. Because he truly did, he changed things. I mean, he was that, just that first little fuel on the fire, if you will. We had a little bitty flame, little bitty. And, man, he was that first big spark that kind of led to where we are today. I really believe that. And not just that, it wasn't just that he came here. That was huge. But then it's what he did here. And it's the person he became, the success that he had. What he did in college football is, people don't really appreciate what he did in college football. It's unbelievable. He's already in the Hall of Fame. That's how good he was. He still got records. And, it's amazing. And so, I'm just really happy for him and his family, and be an exciting day to see him up there, and he'll be there, when little Champ will be bringing his kids one day and talking about, Granddaddy Spiller up there on up there on the stadium. I mean, he's really, really special.
Seems like the offensive line kind of cut down their penalties from last season. I guess, how has Coach Matt Luke kind of helped shape them to not have as many penalties as they did compared to
Yeah,
last
I
season?
mean, Matt's done an awesome job. I mean, he's just, you know, and again, and part of it's just experience. I mean, we're a much more experienced offense than we were this time last year. You know, last year, your first-year starter at quarterback, first-year starter at tight end. You had your best receivers out for the year, basically. And, you know, you got a first-year starter at left tackle. You know, you had a lot of injuries. Parks is out. Tate missed a good bit. You've got a freshman that's having to play a lot. Sadler's getting his first opportunity as a redshirt freshman. So we're just a much more experienced group across the board. Number one, Blake Miller's played a lot of football. Now Tristan's played a lot of football. Walker Parks is back, played a lot of football. Tate's been starting since he was a freshman. Lenthickham's been here 4 years. Now he's got some experience. And then Matt has just come in and brought his experience. And, man, all the experience that we have with the experience of Matt, and, man, it's just really come together. And he's just done an awesome job of instilling the connectivity that you got to have with that group. I mean, they're a very, very cohesive, connected group that plays on one chain. I mean, they really do. I mean, it's been fun to watch. I mean, they're playing well. They don't make a ton of mistakes. When they do, they correct it. They're playing very physical, and you know, they've got a lot of confidence right now.
You and Tony, I'm sure, talked about all the opportunities that he had to leave Clemson as they came up. Why do you think maybe he didn't jump at some of those other head coaching opportunities, and why was Virginia the right fit at the right time for him?
Yeah, he had several opportunities, you know, over the years. But, you know, Tony, like myself, is a person of faith, and he's very prayerful in whatever he does, you know. He doesn't make any decision without really, you know, being led by the Spirit. And that, I mean, to me, I think that's how you go. You know, everybody should make their decisions. You know, and when you live your life that way, sometimes the decisions you make may not make sense to people who aren't of faith. You know, it's just, you know, which is fine. But I think that's the biggest answer I give you is he was very prayerful about it, and he really felt like that's where the right step for him was. And honestly, I did too. I thought it was a great opportunity and a great fit. And again, he had a couple more that were staring at him in that moment too. And you know, again, you know, I had no idea what was coming down the pipe for him. But, you know, obviously with all the tragedy that he dealt with the first year, I mean, I always say, man, God directs our path. And I think, you know, he was just what Virginia needed in that moment. And I would say that the administration there probably, you know, got a chance to see firsthand, you know, what kind of leader he is and the depth of his soul and spirit, and, you know, how he was able to help them navigate a very, I mean, just, you know, an unimaginable situation. So to me, you know, he's again, a person of faith, and the best way I can answer is I think that's God directed him there.
Any concern with Stefan not being able to get back this week, or just?
No, he practiced yesterday, so anticipate him, you know, unless we have a setback or something, anticipate him, you know, being ready to go. So, you know, just wasn't quite ready last week. Same thing with Sadler. Very hopeful we got him back as well, unless we have a setback or something.
I think Vic Burley got 23 snaps at Wake. Was that just is it because he's getting back physically? Was it because of the style of play where you knew that you wanted to bring your tackles and try to mess up the mesh, or is he starting to really come on for you?
All the above. Depth, number one. You know, he probably doesn't get 23 plays if Steph Island's there, right? So opportunity from a just depth standpoint, but also he's making some improvement. You know, he's battled a million injuries. He's had a lot of things that he's dealt with all the way back. You know, missed pretty much all last year, and then he's just had some setbacks. And I think it's just a part of it is he's a big old dude, but he's still mature, and he's just a kid that's still kind of figuring his body out. He's still maturing in his body. He's not a fully developed guy yet. and I think he's a work in progress. But he naturally can just do some stuff that you just go, dang. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, he had a couple big great effort plays. He had one great effort play. It was awesome. He made our great effort tape, but Barrett tripped him. So we had some fun with that in our meeting yesterday. He's flying to the sideline, big man. Barrett trips him up. So friendly fire. He goes flying. We had a good time with that. But he did some good stuff. Yeah, he did some good stuff. I mean, he's a hard guy to move. He's different type of player than Peyton Page. He's a different type of player than even Capehart, if you will. But he's a young guy, and we weren't putting, we weren't putting Capehart out there at this point in his career. I don't think he was even out there. And same thing with probably Peyton Page. Honestly, he wasn't quite out there. So he's not anywhere near what he can be, but he's a work in progress. He just needs to keep going and maturing in the off season and really learning how to be a pro with his body and all that stuff. I think there's still some room for there, and just learning the game. But he did do some good things for us the other day and making progress.
Harris Sewell's a guy that was able to spell Marcus Tate, came in on the jumbo package, let Marcus move to tackle on a drive or two. Is he a guy that is the six? He could be a six guy like Colin is, or
again, we've got 7 guys that go start. I mean, Harrison, Sadler. I mean, it just we wouldn't miss a beat. That's happened, right? We lost. I don't remember what game it was. We didn't have Tate. I think Sadler started, and then they tagged each other off, and swapped out. All right, I'm out, you're in, and for the next week, and we hadn't missed a beat. And we've really had the same thing at receiver. And so I think that just kind of shows the depth and development that we've had at those 2 positions, which are critical needs for us to really develop. But Harris is a good football player, for sure. Play all 3 spots, and he's a guy that we got a ton of confidence in. But we look at him as a starter. We look at Sadler the same way. Sadler's just, you'd see him a lot more. He's just been out. He's been out more than he's probably been available. And but Sadler and Harris are both really, really big time players. And then Trent is, he's a guy we just trust. He can go in and heck, we put him at right tackle the other day because we didn't want to put Mason Wade in there. Because we're at 2 games of Mason, and we just wanted to kind of hold him. And so we put Trent at right tackle. And he went in there and just, he just knows what to do. He's long. He's got some good length. He's athletic enough to get things done. And so we've got a really good nucleus. And I don't know if you watched Elijah Thurman. Man, he's fun to watch. He's a true 5 position guy. By the time his career's over, he is a true 5 position guy. And, something he needs to work a little bit more on, in the offseason from a center standpoint, because he's played center, but we haven't asked him to do it, but just to give you another guy in the pipeline if you need him. But, man, it's a good group. It's a good group. And we got more on the way. We got some dudes rolling in here that look the way they're supposed to look, that I think are going to really add on to the group, and honestly don't anticipate losing anybody but Marcus. He's the only one that can't come back. We expect all these other guys to be back, and so we'll see. But it's a really, really good group, and again, the biggest thing is they're playing with a ton of confidence, and we just have more depth than we've had from a functionality standpoint. So hopefully we can continue to have a little bit of luck when it comes to that. And same thing at receiver. Y'all have been around here. Y'all know we've dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of stuff. And everybody's like, what's going on? Well, Antonio's been here 3 years. Adam's been here 3 years. Stellato's been here 4 years. We got 2 great dynamic young guys rolling here. Cole Turner, even though he was out all last year, it's still his 3rd year, being in our program. And technically he's just a redshirt freshman because he gets the year back. So it's just Tyler Brown. He hadn't even, he's not even a factor right now because he's hurt, but he's kind of like Antonio last year. And look at what Antonio's doing this year. So, I mean, we know what Tyler Brown's going to be able to do. We got a really, really good group, Noble's getting better. Tink's getting better. I mean, so we've got just more depth than we've had in a while. And those kids are all playing off of each other. They're doing a really nice job across the board. It's been good to see, but just more experience and more guys available.
How's Wesco doing?
Getting better. He's getting better. Yeah, it's not a long-term thing. He's day to day, so he's not week to week. He's day to day. But Tyler's week to week. So, but he's getting better. We'll get him back hopefully sooner than later.
Is Elijah Thurman's at 4 games? Do you anticipate?
Oh, no, he's going to play all year. Yeah, Elijah's. We're all in with him. We got to have him. You got to be ready to play every week. Played some special teams too. So he's a definite guy.
Any questions for Coach virtually?
Yeah, Dabo, this is Pete at AP. I hope you're doing well. Just a couple of quick ones for you. I'm guessing with Tony on the other sideline, I mean, it's almost like watching one of your sons coach against it, knowing your history and how long you guys have been together. It's a little bit of a different experience than if it were, Chad or Brent on the other sideline. This time it's got to be something special.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. I mean, I'm not old enough to be his dad, but that's kind of the relationship we've always had, honestly. We've had that type of relationship from the first time I met him. Coming in as a new coach, coming in and taking over a room, and I had Kevin Youngblood and Derek Hamilton and Aries and Bayham and I got Tony sitting in that room, and man, Tony was. I mean, he was a captain for me, and such a leader at a young age. And then we just had a great relationship, and he's incredibly smart. He was one of those guys early on, even though he was still a player. We just connected on a deeper level, and then that just carried on into when he finished up and kind of helping him navigate, his life and what was going on, and then him wanting to get into coaching, and then hiring him here, and that was one of the greatest, coolest moments I've had as a coach was being able to sit at the kitchen counter, me and Kath and Tony and Tamika, and he had no idea that I was going to offer him a job. In fact, he thought because it was a running back's job that he couldn't get the job. And he thought, his time would come or something, this and that, and he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And when he said, well, Coach, I don't know anything about it, I said, well, we teach you all that. I said, I'm not hiring you because you're a great running back coach. I'm hiring you because of who you are. And I said, all that stuff, you've got everything you need. We'll teach you that. And I'd say it worked out. He became a great running back coach, and he became a great tight end coach. And then, even though he'd never called a play, when Chad left, and I made him the play caller, and named he and Jeff the co-coordinators, and Tony run the room and call the plays. He's amazing. He did an awesome job, and it was just fun. And when you have that type of relationship, he knows exactly how I think. And I know how he thinks too. So I don't think he's one step ahead. I know how he's wired too. So no, it's just a lot of fun, man. It's just a beautiful time of my life. Again, doing life with Tony and working with him and seeing a guy that you coach just grow and mature and develop. And I'm sure there'll be more of those, as I go on, through my career. I'm sure there'll be more of those opportunities, but definitely special with Tony because, we go – it's not like just somebody that came in and worked on your staff for a little time. He's family. He truly is family.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
We take one more for Coach if anybody has one.
Basketball season around the corner. You talk a lot about Ian Shefflin as like your ideal. Drop him on the team. What do you think he would play like if he hypothetically drops on?
He'd be a tight end, D-end, for sure. He'd play whatever he wanted to play. He'd be unbelievable left tackle, but he wouldn't want to play that. He'd want to be one of them sexy positions. He'd want to play, sexy chef, right? He'd want to be a. Well, I'm thinking about Sexy Dexy. You know, he's got Campbell's soup commercials now and all that. Y'all seen Dex? I've been giving him some grief. But yeah, Chef, you know, nobody gets too excited about the left tackle. Chef would probably want to be a DN or a tight end, and I'll definitely have a spot. And man, we got a lot of rev share ready for him too if he wants to pass up, you know, wherever he's going to come on over here but he needs to focus on what he's doing now. I don't need a text from Brad. He needs to focus on what he's doing. We got a lot of basketball games to win this year, and I'm excited to see him lead the charge. But yeah, he'd be pretty good. He'd be pretty good, even though he thinks he's a quarterback because, you know, he played quarterback. I think he was Mickey Kahn's quarterback at one point in his career. You know, he and Maffa, they all kind of played together coming up, but he'd be a good one. He'd be a problem.
It's kind of neat how they're both leaders of top 10 teams at Clemson.
Yeah.
Went to high school.
Yeah, and both great kids, you know, just great people, great people.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay,
Y'all be on stage.
y'all get your T-shirts,
T-shirts,
bands, pins. Lexi, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
If you have any questions, holler at me.
all right.
Take them